Finishing this project is marking the end of a lot of things in my life. Not just completing another thriller novel, though in and of itself that's really exciting. I've been working on this for the better part of a year now, and I've poured so many hours into it. I've spent so much time in this story. But this is also the last book I'm going to be writing in Alaska. We are just over a month away from moving away, and this routine I've developed for myself of every year writing another thriller here, it's going to be broken. I have no idea what's going to come next, and it's a little bit scary. There was a little bit of a comfort in knowing that I couldn't try to publish even if I wanted to because I was on a student visa since I'm an international student. I'm Canadian. And now things are getting so much more real. Like, I have the possibility to try these things, to put myself out there, but also the possibility of failure. I'm really glad that these realizations are coming to me as I'm nearing the end of finishing this story and not when I was starting, because I almost feel like paralyzed with all of the pressure that I seem to now be putting onto this project and putting onto my expectations of what I can do. So rather than try to battle my way to the end, to push through it, I think I need to try to be a little bit kinder, a little bit gentler, and really try to enjoy these last moments, because I'm sure in a couple years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, I'm going to be reminiscing about this point in my life where I was able to take just so much time and dedicate it to my writing, and I was able to write so many books. And I want to feel that now, not just in retrospect in a couple years' time. I talked a big game about trying to be like purposeful and aesthetic about finishing out this draft, but I haven't been either of those things, but just because I haven't been writing at all. I think that there's just like a block right now where I'm just struggling to get into it, partly because I don't know what changes to make. I'd really hope that if I got beta reader feedback for this third draft that was pointing towards something, that there would be at least like corroborators, like there would be multiple people saying similar things so I could pinpoint issues and fix them. But every single person that's gotten back to me, I think I've heard back from 5 or 6 people now, but each person has brought up different things, and none of them as like big issues, but as like, I'd like a little bit more explanation here, or I got confused in this one scene, but that's not repeated by anyone else. And I think these are still issues. These are still things I want to see if I can make small tweaks to improve. Because if 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 people felt that way, chances are other people are also going to feel that way. So maybe I found different enough beta readers that they're not like getting the similar, not stumbling over the same issues, but just makes it so much harder because I don't really know what the fix is. And I don't want to go in and do too many changes and then just like mess something up or make something else worse. So what I'm going to do is first I need to make more of a plan, because as these things have come in, as this feedback has come in, I've made notes in my head of like, oh, this could be something to fix. This could be something to fix. But then I haven't actually like made those changes. I just kind of like thought about them and moved on. So the plan tonight, because I'm pretty tired, is not to actually do any writing, but because it's low stakes, I'm only making myself write a list of all of the things that were brought up as issues. And then tomorrow I can start tackling those things. But I haven't forgotten, we're going to be aesthetic. We're going to do this purposefully. I have a candle that I'm going to light. I have my headphones so I can listen. To some music. And then I was going to make a cup of tea. I love tea if you've been around. I love Earl Grey tea so much, but I'm just like not in the mood for tea right now. I'm just in the mood for regular water. So that's what we're going to drink, get hydrated, write this list, and we'll take it away from there tomorrow. Getting a chance to go back into the story was really nice. Like, if I had to sum it up in one word, it's just like super comforting, which is not what you would expect for a high stakes thriller because there's a lot of plotting and drama and deaths that are happening. So, to another person reading it, it's definitely not comforting. But I feel like to the person that wrote it, it really is because everything that happens came from my brain. So it really feels like I'm entering my own world where I can predict everything. Everything's super nice. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to take anything off of that checklist that I'd made just because I had work to get to. So I'm wrapping up my PhD right now, and we're also moving in less than 2 weeks. And there has been so many things that we've had to do that it's been really overwhelming. And I've been wanting to get back to this editing, but I just haven't had the time when all these other things are happening. And actually, for like the last week or so, I have been writing out a to-do list every day, and I can never manage to get all this stuff on the to-do list. So they always carry over to the next day. So it constantly feels like, I'm just treading water, just trying to keep my head above water. And this weekend is the first time where I feel like there's been a bit of a pause because there's just been so much happening during the week that I feel like now for these like next 2 days, today Saturday, I can finally take a break, take a breath, and do stuff that I want to do, which includes getting back to doing some of this revision, which I'm really excited for. I did honestly though do a few more stuff from my list this morning just because I feel like when I have things going on, like I feel like when I'm writing, I really need to have like a clear mind. Like if I'm worried about other things, it's just not going to work. Like I can be on my phone doom scrolling, I can watch like a movie, I can read a book while having a lot of stuff going on, but when I want to write, it really needs to be like peaceful. So I finally feel like I've reached that for now. I'm going to take the next couple of hours and try and finish that scene I was working on and actually tick some stuff off. Though I probably could have ticked off some stuff already if I hadn't gone into one of the harder things on my list to accomplish. I've got like 4 or 5 things, but I figure I always go for the easier stuff first and then I procrastinate the harder stuff. So I figured it would be better to just go for the hard stuff off the bat, get out of the way, and just ride out the easy stuff for the end of this edit. But yeah, so I think maybe in the next 2 days I can finish this book, which it hasn't fully hit me yet, what that'll feel like to actually be just done with this project. But I think I am ready for it. The first of 5 edits is done. It actually went really well. I'm really happy with it. So we're gonna make a cup of tea and go on to the second edit. I finished edit 2 before my tea was even ready, but we have to lock in because edit 3 is gonna be tough. There might even be some scene rewriting for this one. Edit 3 is now complete. That was definitely a major hurdle to get over. It was a lot of work. I went through the same chapter numerous times until it felt good. I didn't spend this whole day working on it. I had other things I had to do today, but it is now late, so we're gonna get started on edit 4 tomorrow morning. We are done edit 4. It wasn't too bad, and I'm excited for edit 5, the last edit until this book is done. And that is edit 5 done, which means we not only have completed this draft, I guess this draft like 3.5, but it means we have completed the final draft of this novel. Not there won't maybe be some edits later on, small ones, but this is as far as I can take it myself with beta reader feedback, and I kind of just don't know what to think right now. Like, I have put so much time into this book, and it's crazy to think that a year ago now, like, this was just an idea I had that I'd been thinking about for like a couple of years, and I really had no idea what it was going to be like. And now it's like written out, concrete, detailed. I feel like it's everything I wanted it to be. It meets my expectations. Maybe it exceeds it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm so happy. This is crazy. This might have been your last time hearing me say I'm working on a mountaineering revenge thriller novel. I don't know if you've gotten tired of hearing that phrase if you've been around for a while, but dang, like that makes it feel more final, really, to really know that like that's the last time, or this is the last time that I'll be saying that. I mean, hopefully I'll say it again in the future if I can get it published and all of that. But hopefully at that point I might even have a title. I'm still working on that. Yeah, throwing some things out there, but yeah, the title is not yet determined, but that's okay because the rest of the story is. And I want to take this opportunity. I've actually been wanting to do this for a little bit and reflect on the stats that got us here. So I've spent a little bit of time. I'm not very good at writing like when I start and stop projects and stuff. So I've had to go back through my YouTube videos actually to try and figure out when I was doing stuff in my camera roll. And I think I've picked out approximate dates. Some of them I feel very confident about. One or two I'm like, oh, it could be a couple days before or after. I'm not really sure. So I figured we'll go through all three drafts. And for the third draft, I'm combining draft 3 and then this like 3.5 that I've done based on beta reader feedback. So we'll talk about that. Also potentially expanded the amount of time that I'm counting draft 3 as being, but we're going to go through each of the 3 drafts. I'm going to talk a little bit about what each of them was like, what I was focusing on in each one. We'll talk word count, we'll talk chapter length, we'll talk the amount of time I spent on each draft. So without further ado, I just wanted to do a high level thing. I started seriously outlining this book because I've been thinking about this book I think since like 2021 even, but I started seriously outlining this book on September 21st, 2024. And today is the day I'm going to set the end date of working on this book. So that will have encapsulated all the outlining, all the brainstorming, all the way through all the drafts to finalizing the draft after my beta reader feedback. And it has been, drumroll please, 330 days that I've been working on this. So less than a year. Wow. Yeah. So draft 1, so officially when I started writing it, I meant to start it for the November writing challenge, right? Writing 50K words in 1 month. And that's why I started this channel, was surrounding that as well, surrounding the start of this project. But I actually cheated a little bit. I ended up starting to write this draft before November. But don't worry, if you were watching those videos, I still did the 50K in 1 month. I just started and did however many K before that, before the month started. But so I officially started draft 1 on October 8th. Wow. So I started pretty early actually, but I didn't really focus in on writing it. Like I was kind of writing it, just trying to enjoy the process, trying to get lost in the story, not really like focus on getting words down the page until November 1st. And I was actually able to complete it by the end of November because I gave myself that those extra words at the start. So from October 8th to November 30th, 2024, I worked on this book, I think, for 53 days is what it turns out to. So it took 53 days for me to write the first draft of this book. And that draft included 76,445 words, and it was in 43 chapters. So that was actually a pretty long draft for me. I tend to underwrite my first drafts, but I think because I gave myself that start where I was just taking things slow and really trying to flesh out chapters and scenes, it made it so that it was a lot easier as I carried through. So I think during this month of November, I wrote almost like every single day. Like I was writing a ton of words every single day. And that first draft was all about just getting the words on the page. I'm not the cleanest first draft writer. Like I usually underwrite, but in this case I didn't. But I'll just go for it. Like I'm not going to overthink descriptions. I'm not going to overthink character interactions. I'm just going for what I think would be best at the time just to get through it, because so many times if I think too hard I get stuck in a draft and then it's hard to keep going. And something to note as well is before I started draft 1, I'd done a lot of outlining and I even had a chapter by chapter outline, so I was pretty prepared to do the heavy lifting for this draft. And then I gave myself a little bit of time off, basically all of December, and then I came back to draft 2 to work on it on January 6, 2025, so in the start of the new year. I wrote that throughout the spring, and draft 1 was just about getting the words down the page. Draft 2 for me was all about making sure what was there worked. So I wasn't quite worried about word choice, about sentence structure, and like the specific language, right? I was thinking a bit more like structurally, like making sure that the chapters were paced well, everything was in there that it should be, there was no plot holes, like the characters made sense. So I kind of think of it as like draft one was just like throwing a big pile of clay onto a wheel, you know, giving myself the resources and giving myself the material to work with. Draft two was really shaping it and kind of getting very close to the final thing, but maybe not adding the details, but just kind of molding that final shape. So over spring from January 6th, I finished on May 9th. So that was 123 days for draft two. It's actually the longest of the 3 drafts, even including draft 3 needing that beta reader feedback time. So this is really where I'm doing my heavy lifting, is in draft 2. It really feels like everything's being pieced together. By the end of draft 2, even though it doesn't maybe sound amazing, like it's readable. Like I think it's an enjoyable story. And the word count did increase by almost 20,000 words. So it increased to 92,369 words. And the chapter count was still at 43 at that time. And then just like a couple weeks later, I started draft 3. So draft 3 is really where I paid a lot more attention to the word choice, to how information was being written on the page. I started draft 3 on May 21st, 2025, and then completed it today on August 17th, 2025. So that's about 88 days. So that's including doing all of draft 3, I finished it, I think, by July 1st, and then I'd sent it out to people to beta read, and then I was getting feedback in after a couple weeks, this here and there. I still haven't heard from everyone. It's been like a month and a half, so maybe I'll do some more tweaks, but then I then applied a lot of the comments I received. There weren't too many, honestly. I didn't make too many changes, which is why I didn't make into a draft 4. So 88 days, and the word count increased by about 4,000 words. So we're now sitting at 96,417 words. Because also in draft 3, I did do a lot of deleting of sections that I thought weren't really like important or weren't really doing much, but then I was also adding stuff in because again, I'm like a little bit of an underwriter, so I'm always working to like flesh things out a little bit more. And then we did get one more chapter, so I think I split a chapter maybe at some point, and so we now have 44 chapters. In 330 days, I went through 3 drafts of this novel. The first draft, just getting the words down. Second draft, really trying to do those big developmental edits. And then the third draft, doing the more line level stuff. And yeah, like I'm feeling really good about this. A lot of the beta reader feedback I received was really positive. So I'm really excited about where this can go. I need a little bit of time to reflect on this project and all the time and effort that it took to get this far. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy it and not try and overthink. But I want to give a big thank you for everyone who stuck it out this far with me and watched the journey through all the ups and downs. And I can't wait to see what comes next.